How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Miles Gutierrez. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Iron Claw. I just recently had a triple feature, the first triple feature that I've had in quite a while. And out of the three films that I saw this weekend, this one was my personal favorite. Now, the Iron Claw revolves around the Von Erich brothers who made history in the world of wrestling in the early 1980s. And this film is told through the eyes of Kevin Von Erich, played by Zac Efron. Now, I went into this movie, had just watched the trailers. I didn't know anything about the Von Erichs. I'm not really big into wrestling or any kind of sports, so I knew absolutely nothing about their story. The only thing that I knew about this family was that it was entangled in a lot of tragedy, and that is as far as my acknowledgement for this story went. And boy, did they rip my heart out and showed it to me. This is a gripping movie that I was not really mentally prepared for. A lot of the weight is on Zac Efron's shoulders, and I just absolutely loved him in this movie. I know he's probably getting a little bit of Oscar consideration for Best Actor, and boy, does he deserves it, because he has a lot of the emotional weight on his shoulders, especially if you know exactly how this story really transpires. This film is directed by Sean Durkin, and the way that he was able to tell this story, I thought was precise, it was direct, and he kind of held a little bit back, but that's only because I didn't know the story going into it. So after I had watched the movie, I did a little bit of research and I see some of the things that were kept out of the movie. It didn't bother me at all, mostly because I didn't know much about the story, and I thought they handled that character as good as they possibly could have. But the performances in this movie are absolutely fantastic. Jeremy Allan White is also somebody that has impressed me over the years, especially in The Bear, mostly because I first saw him in Shameless, and I think that's where a lot of people really recognize him. And the fact that I didn't know if he was going to be able to break out of that mold outside of Shameless, he is able to do that in spades, and I love that he is able to have that kind of career going on right now. A lot of the gun punches in this movie is great, and the way that they handled the relationship between the brothers absolutely worked for me, mostly because you were invested in these characters, and I thought a lot of the dramatic moments worked for me. It is a hefty movie, so you got to go into this movie mentally prepared. The way that Sean Durkin told the story, leaving some of the things, if you know going in, to the imagination. As somebody that struggles with that kind of stuff, I appreciate that he didn't need to feel the force to show it, and instead left it to the background or left it on off screen. And that is something that I really appreciated about this movie. There are a couple of pacing issues, and that's kind of the nitpick that I have with this movie, but everything else flowed well. The relationship they built between Kevin and his wife in this movie worked for me, and that is where you have that sense of levity, because when you have a heavy subject like this movie, there are some things you have to have a couple of moments where you have to breathe a little bit, and that moment and those moments spread out a little bit is where I was able to catch my breath and be able to connect with these characters. They also show the struggles of what it's like to be in the world of wrestling and all those challenges and tribulations that some people go through. Maybe not to this kind of extent, but with this family, it was just absolutely tragic what happened to this family, especially when you find out that there was a curse revolving around this family. But the way that this movie was told, the heftiness of this movie is what gets you invested in this movie. And this won't be for everybody. There are a lot of heavy subjects in this movie that will tug on a lot of people's heartstrings and will be hard for a lot of people to watch. But for me personally, I really enjoyed this movie. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to, but I still came out absolutely floored by this movie. The way that it was directed, the way it was performed, everybody came in with their A game, and I just came out speechless. But those are my thoughts on the Iron Claw. Are you guys planning on checking this film out? Or is it just one that you're not going to check out at all? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys on the next review.